I've asked for my highest timeline, but all of a sudden my bank balance is going down. I've asked for my highest timeline, but all of a sudden friendships are falling away. I've asked for my highest timeline, and all of a sudden I feel more lonely than I have in a really long time. And we don't trust this process that we are going through, where we are being asked to not make the decisions as the old version of us who was in fear, doubt, lack, separation, not trust, not in faith, but to actually bring forward your true identity, your soul-led identity, and navigate whatever this growth edge is as her from that place. Now, she is going to feel different to your conditioned identity. Beautiful soul, welcome here back to the Abundance Club podcast. I am your host, Amy Wilkinson. Thank you for tuning in. Let's take a breath together, because this is a transmission, and my intention is that it deeply serves and meets whoever's here listening on the other end of this. You may have been going through a big week, a week of turbulence, of challenge, of contraction, of darkness, like whatever it is. Let's just take a pause here together. Firstly, no, you're not on your own. These are testing times. These are edgy times. And when you're on this growth journey and expansion journey, I mean, everybody is on this journey, but for those of you listening to this podcast, you're very likely consciously participating on this journey, saying yes to your highest timeline. And I really want to talk about what happens when we do that. Because if you're on this journey, you'll know that that doesn't automatically mean that things just, I used to think like this. I used to think that, well, if I'm available for my highest timeline and I desire my highest timeline and I intend to be on my highest timeline, then surely that will be so. And there will be ease and flow and synchronicity and all of those things. And boy, did I get a lesson, and have I been going through a real initiation period? Because when we ask for our highest timeline, life goes, okay, show me that you are ready for that. What needs to fall away? What are you willing to make yourself available? What is the version of you that needs to come forward and lead you? So, before we go any further, let's just take a beat. Let's take a breath together really consciously. You might even like to close your eyes, like wherever you are, can you just take a pause? Can you just take a moment to deliberately come back to your center? Feel into your breath, a deep breath in through your nose. And a slow, long breath out. Because this is always the invitation. Always the invitation. Before anything else, the invitation is to arrive. The invitation is to come back home, to come back into your seat, the seat, what I call the seat of your soul, the seat of your power. And this is where the answers lie. Like, you guys, what I'm speaking to here is not just a nice idea, a fancy concept, a spiritual concept. This is truth. I used to think that the answers were in someone else, were in a book, were in an oracle, were in a psychic, were in someone else that seemed to be more connected and have more knowledge and wisdom or access to a higher power than me. I used to think that somehow that person had more access to God, to divine intelligence than what I did. And boy, did I learn a really big lesson in that. Because whatever we tend to pedestalize, whatever we tend to outsource our power to, is designed to fall, is designed to fail, is designed to in some way let us down, so that we can remember, so that we can come back to the fact that it's here, that it's within us, that you are the source of that wisdom, abundance, information, guidance. Like, you are a channel. You have the light. You are tapped into divine intelligence, divine wisdom. And so we need to get out of our minds, get out of our bodies and awareness and energy that in some way we don't have access to that, that we are not enough, that we haven't had enough experience in it. Yes, some people are more developed in that, but it doesn't mean that they have more access to that. So when we take this intentional breath, and the reason that I do this, and the reason before I do any transmissions or group work or one-to-one coaching, I open up this conscious channel of light, conscious channel of wisdom between us and the divine, between you and the divine. And that is the most important relationship that you can cultivate in this lifetime, I believe. The most important relationship is the one that you have with your soul self, with that aspect of you that is limitless, that is always tapped in to the infinite source of wisdom. The problem is we keep ourselves so distracted and so preoccupied because there's so much that's available to us in terms of information. We keep ourselves so distracted in looking outside, seeing what somebody else is doing, what information is coming through that channel. Is it in the book? Is it in the podcast? Is it? And I don't want to be another voice in the room that takes you away from your own inherent knowing and power. I want to be the one, and my intention is, even through this podcast as well, is to continue to point you back, empower you to know that you have it, that you are it, that you are everything. And I'm sharing this because this message has been coming through so strong this week, recently, in my client sessions. In an instant, we give our power away without even realizing it, in the words that we're saying, in our energy. And if you knew how expensive that is, your most precious resource is your awareness, is the power of your awareness and attention. It is that creates. It is that magnetizes. That is what manifests, my friends, your incredible, potent attention and your awareness, your consciousness, right? Let's be really clear about that. You create from your energy. What is your energy? It is your consciousness. What is your consciousness? It is one with the divine. It is one with the divine intelligence, God, source, universe. Pick whatever word you like to use, whatever resonates with you. That is who you are. You are not separate from that. So why then do we spend so much of our energy outsourcing it, thinking somebody else's knowing is more? Now, that's not to say there is purpose in books, there is purpose in leaders and teachers, the ones that remind us to go within, that remind us of what that which we are seeking is here within us. So how do we begin then? And this is something that I get asked all the time, like, how do we begin to strengthen that channel And it starts by deepening this relationship. Like, I want you to think of you, we have so many different relationships. You can have a love relationship and a soulmate relationship and a friendship or a relationship with a client. And we get really good at investing energy into those certain relationships, a relationship that we have with our family members, with our children, like all really sacred, beautiful relationships. How is the relationship that you have with your soul self? How's the relationship with your soul? And a relationship requires that giving and receiving. What is a way that you give to this relationship with your soul? It's through your attention, giving your attention. This is the meeting that you want to have before you meet or greet anyone in your day. I say this all the time to my clients. Greet yourself, meet yourself, sit down with yourself before you open yourself up to the world and to your day. Because I can assure you, when you start to open yourself up to the world and to your day, we go into this habitual running on autopilot and our conditioning comes forward. Our conditioning comes forward. You know why? Because it's so familiar and we have had years and years and years of repeating this identity that, for the most part, is really rooted in, like, it's born from a place of lack, not enoughness, scarcity, and separation. We try so hard to construct a certain identity that is separate from our soul self, because on some level, we have been taught, we have learned to believe that who we are in our truth as soul is not enough, right? And so we have to construct this personality, and we've done that. We get very, very good at doing that. Maybe it's the one who self-abandons in order to belong. Maybe it's the one who people pleases in order to get praise and validation. Like, these strategies we adopted from a very, very young age. And then we have just over time layered more conditioning upon that and strengthened those neural pathways, those circuitries in the brain. And we've become masterful at doing that. So if we don't take back the reins from a place of our soul truth, from a place of our own conscious awareness, I can assure you that each day we revert straight back into our mode of operating, our default program. That is then the signal. And, and this is why people wonder, why am I still living out this same reality, this same scenario, these same relationships? Why are these patterns keep repeating? Not realizing that you are choosing that by not choosing yourself. You are saying yes to that, likely unconsciously, because you're letting yourself be pulled back into your patterning and into your conditioning and into the programs that you have been running quite unconsciously in the background. Because we don't often stop and pause and bring back. I was a yoga teacher for nearly 20 years. And yoga, when we look at the root word of yoga, which is huge, like, yoga means, when we translate it, it's to yoke your awareness back, to come back into recognition that you are the soul. This is samadhi, like, and in yoga and in Sanskrit, like, Atman is the soul. To remember that that is who you are. So asking ourselves, what is my highest priority? What am I actually going after here? What am I seeking? Am I letting myself feel into the way that life is communicating to me right now? Because I can assure you, life is communicating to you all the time. It is showing you, it is giving you information. And one of the most potent ways that your soul tries to communicate to you, that your soul tries to show you and lead you like a compass that's inherent within you, is through your desires, is through what you love. That feeling, when you connect into it, you get excited. You start to feel, wow, this is possibility playing with me. This is infinite possibility tempting me to believe, tempting me to expand. And what do we do when we feel those desires? What do we do when we notice that we have those dreams and we start to inquire? For the most part, we straight away go into seeing or looking for the evidence that we don't have that. So we straight away go into the lack. I don't have that desire. What I desire is to have my own business and to write a book and to leave my job and have clients. Like, this is an example. What do we do straight away? In our default, we go into, but that will be hard. How would I make money? I don't have that. I don't have any clients around me at the moment. I don't have the safety net. So we straight away energize the lack rather than the possibility. Now, in both of those cases, we actually don't have evidence of either at the moment. Remember, we are only able to view a very, very, very small, like less than a percentage of reality. We are just filtering through all of the information that comes through. We are filtering it through our lens of perception, which is a very, very small percentage of what we're able to view and see. And so we choose instead to listen to that conditioned identity. Remember, it's rooted in lack and fear and separation. We choose to energize that, which again is a possibility. It's not a fact, it's not a given, rather than this possibility that is here. Rather than ask the question, well, what if? What if I have that desire because I'm capable of living that? What if this is actually guidance here from my soul? What if this, the desire, in fact, is the evidence that there is something in my field that's inviting me, that's asking me to open up and receive? I believe that the biggest obstacle that we come up against is not necessarily a mental block and a limiting belief, right? Like, contrary to what is projected out there in the manifestation world, is that you just have to clear another block and another. I don't subscribe to all of that. I think that that's a way that our false ego keeps us in limitation, is just telling us that there's another wound to heal and another block to clear and another belief. I don't subscribe to that. I believe that life will absolutely show you if there is something that's standing in your way. You're going to see evidence of that. And particularly if you work with a coach or mentor that can help to illuminate that for you, you're going to be shown. But I believe the thing that keeps us from actualizing, from living that desired reality, is that we don't allow ourselves to receive it. I spoke about this in my last podcast episode about there being an endless infinite light in this universe, which means infinite possibility. Like, what we're saying here is that this is available, life is available to you, your manifestations, your dreams, anything that you desire. It's here, it's created, it's available in your field. But are you open? Are you making yourself available to receive that? Many people will say, and we'll come back to what I said earlier about, like, I'm on my highest timeline. I'm ready for my highest timeline. Great. But then as soon as the rubber hits the road and we are met with a contraction point, a growth edge, a challenge, right? This is an invitation that's disguised as conflict or challenge or crisis or whatever it is. This is the invitation. The growth edge is the invitation. But as soon as that comes up, we then straight away think, I've failed. There's something wrong with me. I've asked for my highest timeline, but all of a sudden my bank balance is going down. I've asked for my highest timeline, but all of a sudden friendships are falling away. I've asked for my highest timeline, and all of a sudden I feel more lonely than I have in a really long time. And we don't trust this process that we are going through, where we are being asked to not make the decisions as the old version of us who was in fear, doubt, lack, separation, not trust, not in faith, but to actually bring forward your true identity, your soul-led identity, and navigate whatever this growth edge is as her from that place. Now, she is going to feel different to your conditioned identity. And this is why I say have that meeting with yourself. Have that clear intention that I bring forward the truth of who I am. I allow soul, God, infinite universe, to lead my day, to bring me what is for me, and I am open and available to that. And then when something comes your way, when life maybe throws you that curveball and it can feel like a little bit of a test, you can call it a test if you want. You can say the universe is testing you. I like to think of the universe as giving you an opportunity now to expand into the version of you who's not in the doubt, who's not questioning, who's not thinking that she's done something wrong, but instead is being asked to move as the evidence that your desires are incoming. Move as the evidence that she is expanding. We look outside for the evidence all the time, and quite often we're looking for the evidence to show that we are failing. We look for the evidence to show, see, this path is not right. See, I can't get the clients. See, this is what's happening in my bank account. Who's the version of you that's saying that? It is not your soul-led identity. Right? So one of the most powerful things that we can do in this work is determine who's the version of you that you are letting lead? Who's the version of you that has the microphone in your life, calling the shots? Bring your attention to that. Notice this version of me that's questioning, that's in the doubt, that's looking for the evidence that I'm failing. And I see this all the time in my client sessions. That's not the true you. That's the conditioned version of you that has learned that expansion isn't safe, that's learned that visibility isn't safe. So we ask for the visibility, but then we stay in the conditioned version of ourselves who thinks that that's a death threat. We ask for the more clients and the more money and the abundance and the flow, but then we stay in the identity who is so rooted in lack, she contracts every time money is brought up, right? So we can't ask and then not be prepared to shift our identity. And the thing that I want to say about this, and why so many people are wishing, hoping, dreaming, praying, doing the vision boards, but nothing is shifting, the needle isn't moving, is because we're afraid of the discomfort that comes with it. We're unwilling to go through that period where there may be a shakeup in your life, where there may be friendships that fall away, where you may be asked to show up for yourself in a new way, where you may be asked to set the uncomfortable boundary somewhere in your life. The old version of you does not want to do that. She contracts, she pulls back, she'll make up an excuse, she'll procrastinate, she'll distract herself, right? Look at all of those conditioned patterns. What is the intention of those patterns? To keep you in the same, to keep you in the known and familiar, because that's a survival mechanism. Can you see that you have been letting that protective conditioned identity actually lead, call the shots? It's never been her role to do that. Whose role is it? Who's the one here that's actually meant to lead your life, to make the decisions, to stand, to back herself? It's your soul embodied identity. She's not hiding. She doesn't need to wear the masks. She doesn't need to have the layers of conditioning. She's who you are beneath all of that. My gosh, this is the deepest, richest work, but it is also so much simpler than continually going back and clearing another limiting belief and another limiting belief and another and another and another. Because guess what? We can just be creating them all the time. I would much rather deepen the relationship with the most important, I don't even want to call it person, energy, consciousness, like the most important thing in your life, which is your divine nature. Bring her forward. This is the work that I'm doing in my Soul Power program with the women that are in there. And it's so powerful because we actually get to see the way that we've been hiding. We actually get to see the areas and the sectors of our life where it's been so easy to let that conditioned identity come forward. And then we see, I've been co-signing my own limitation there. But the beautiful thing about this, when we become aware, we get to decide again. We get to choose again. So I want to land this here around this week and this week's energy. And, we've just come through the full moon and we've got Jupiter expanding different houses wherever Jupiter is for you. I'm not an astrologer, but what I do know is this is a really powerful choice point for so many people, for all of us. And we're always given choice points, but it feels really pertinent at the moment. The choice point to walk your highest timeline, to expand, or the choice point to stay in the known and the familiar. The choice point to allow yourself to be led by your soul, or the choice point to stay in the conditioned reality. You could call this 5D and 3D. You could call this the new earth split. It doesn't really matter. What matters is who you are choosing to be. That is your highest priority because everything else is a reflection of that. Life will meet you where you are. Not so much in what you're doing, but coming a step back from that. What's beneath that? Who are you being? Have that meeting with yourself. Check back in. Deepen the relationship with your soul. You guys, if you want support with this, this is the work I do in my sessions. And even more deeply, if you come into my 2-month one-to-one programming, you will be someone different on the other side of that. And that, who you are being, is what shifts you to your highest timeline. Intention is one thing, but what is backing that intention? We want to have the two together. We need that clear intention. Yeah, that can be the mental game, but that is it. We have spent so much time in this manifestation space overcooking the importance of mindset. That is one piece of the pie. We need to go so much deeper into what is the embodiment. What's the embodied feeling of living now as the version of me who's not wondering, who's already living that desired reality, who already has the money, the clients, the loving relationship. Get to know her now. Get so familiar with her or him now. She is the one or he is the one that's going to be leading you forward. So have space, take space over these days to make a decision for yourself. The decision might be a mental one, but then please back that up with the feeling. And this evolved version of you, who is your soul-led identity, she is leading from her heart, from knowing, from trust, from faith. And for many of us, we don't give ourselves the opportunity to meet her to tap into her, let alone live from her. So if you're ready to have the real support with this rather than just circling around the same and the same and the same old patterns, wondering why things aren't shifting, come inside to one of my programs. Jump into Soul Power. The link is here. Or come into a one-to-one session. Let's work together and support you with that. Take another breath. And even just place a hand on your heart and really honor yourself. You're doing an amazing job. I don't know if anybody has told you that lately, or if you have given yourself that grace and that honoring and that reminder that you are doing an amazing job. And right now, you are exactly where you're meant to be. So come home. Come home. Bring the incredible power of your own attention and awareness back into you. And start to make the moves that are reflective of your highest desires, because they're there for you. I promise. Thank you so much for being here. I love you so much. Please make sure you rate and review this podcast. That means so much to me. If you could take a moment to do that before you do anything else, that's a way that you can share the love. Please also share it with someone that you care about. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care.